You're really going to take half of everything? She asked, and that smile, God, that fucking smile, told me everything I needed to know. I just told my wife I wanted a divorce. Normal people cry. Normal people get angry. Normal people at least pretend to care. But Claire? She smiled. Not a sad smile. Not a bitter smile. A genuine, almost relieved smile that made my stomach drop. Yeah, I said slowly, watching her face. That's how it works. Community property state. The smile got wider. 24 hours later, her sister Madison was calling me at 6 a.m., voice shaking so badly I could barely understand her. What the fuck did you tell Claire yesterday? What exactly did you say? I'm 29. Been married to Claire for 4 years, together for 6. No kids, thank God. I'm a software engineer, she's a registered nurse. We bought a house 2 years ago in Portland. On paper, we looked perfect. I told her I wanted a divorce. I said into the phone, still half asleep. Why are you calling me at 6 in the morning? Because she's been up all night crying, and she won't tell me what's wrong, and she keeps saying he knows. He knows over and over. Madison, I have no idea what you're talking about. She said you threatened her. She said you told her you were going to destroy her. I said I was taking half. In a divorce. That's literally just how divorce works. Silence on the other end. Then, oh my God. What? Oh my God, she thought. Madison's voice cut off. I have to go. She hung up. I sat there in my temporary apartment. I'd moved out 3 days earlier, staring at my phone. The panic in Madison's voice wasn't about me being an asshole husband. It was something else entirely. That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. Let me back up. 3 weeks before I asked for the divorce, I'd come home early from a conference. The Seattle trip got canceled last minute. Our main client had a family emergency, so instead of staying 2 nights, I drove back the same evening. I pulled into our driveway around 10 p.m. Claire's car was there. So it was a Honda Civic I didn't recognize. I almost texted her that I was home, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the way she'd been acting the past few months. Distant. Secretive with her phone. Working extra shifts, but somehow having less money than usual. I used my key quietly. The house was dark except for light coming from under our bedroom door. I heard voices. Claire's laugh. A deeper voice I didn't recognize. My hand was on the doorknob when I heard the deeper voice say, "When are you finally going to leave him?" I froze. Soon, Claire said. I just need to be smart about it. Another few months, maybe. Why wait? You said you haven't loved him in over a year. Because, Claire said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. I need to make sure everything's positioned right. The house is in both our names. My mom's loan is only documented through my email. He doesn't know about it. And Tyler's business investment doesn't have my name anywhere on the paperwork. The other voice laughed. You're devious. I'm practical. If I file now, he gets half of everything. But if I can move some assets around first, file the paperwork correctly, make sure certain things are protected, I can walk away with a lot more than half. I stood outside my own bedroom door, listening to my wife plan financial infidelity with another man. How much more are we talking? The man asked. The house is worth $640,000 now. We paid $480,000. If I can get it refinanced under just my name before the divorce, claim he abandoned it, I might be able to keep most of the equity. Then there's my retirement account. I've been maxing it out, but he doesn't check the statements. That's another $90,000 he doesn't know about. And the investment property Tyler and I bought in Salem? That's not in my name at all. It's under an LLC. $200,000 in equity there. Jesus Christ, Claire. He's a software engineer. He makes good money. He'll be fine. But I've been the one sacrificing, working night shifts, dealing with his emotional unavailability. I deserve this. I quietly walked back down the hallway, out the front door, got in my car, and drove to a hotel. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, replaying the conversation in my head, feeling like the world's biggest idiot. The next morning, I didn't confront her. I went to work like normal. Came home like normal. She asked about my trip and I lied, said it went great. And then I started planning. I called a divorce attorney that afternoon. Her name was Patricia Chun, and she'd handled my coworker's messy divorce the year before. I need to understand something, I told her after explaining what I'd overheard. Can she actually do that? Hide assets, move money around, then file for divorce. Patricia was quiet for a moment. She can try. And if you didn't know about it, if you signed papers without reading them, if you trusted her to handle the finances, yeah, she could potentially get away with quite a bit of it. By the time you discovered it during discovery, the damage would be done. What do I do? You document everything. Right now, before she knows you're planning anything. Bank statements, retirement accounts, property records, every email, every text message. You compile a complete financial picture before she can move another dollar. I spent the next 3 weeks becoming an investigator of my own marriage. I logged into every account we had. I found the retirement account she'd mentioned. She'd been putting in $1,500 a month for 2 years while I'd been depositing into what I thought was our joint retirement account. She'd never merged them. I found emails about the investment property in Salem. She'd gone in 50-50 with her brother Tyler on a rental property, using money she'd supposedly been spending on nursing continuing education courses. The property was generating $2,400 a month in rental income. I'd never seen a penny. I found the loan from her mother, $35,000, supposedly for a personal emergency that Claire had never mentioned to me. Except according to the email thread, the emergency was funding the down payment on the Salem property. I found text messages between her and someone named Derek, the Honda Civic owner, presumably going back 7 months. They weren't explicitly sexual, but they were intimate in a way that made my skin crawl. Inside jokes. Plans to celebrate once she was free. A photo she'd sent him of a vacation rental in Costa Rica with the caption, 2 more months. I compiled everything. Bank statements, property records, screenshots, emails, text messages. I put it all in a shared folder with Patricia. This is good, she told me after reviewing it. This is really good. She's committed financial infidelity, possibly fraud, depending on how she documented that LLC. When we file, we include all of this. We don't give her time to move anything else. When should I tell her? Whenever you're ready. But once you tell her, we file immediately. That same day, we freeze joint accounts. We file for temporary orders. We make sure she can't touch anything else. I decided to tell her on a Tuesday evening. I'd moved the important stuff out of the house, my documents, my laptop, my grandfather's watch, the photo albums from my childhood. I transferred half of our joint savings to a separate account. Patricia said this was legal as long as it was truly half. I'd packed a bag. I came home from work. Claire was in the kitchen, making pasta, humming to herself. Hey, she said, smiling at me. Good day. We need to talk. Her smile faltered. Okay. I want a divorce. I watched her face carefully, waited for the shock, the tears, the questions. Instead, after a moment, she smiled. Not a fake smile. A real one. Relieved. Almost happy. Oh, she said. Okay. I mean, are you sure? I'm sure. Can I ask why? Does it matter? She shrugged. I guess not. So what happens now? Now we divide everything. Community property state. I take half. You take half. That's when the smile got bigger. Okay. Sure. That's fair. She wasn't upset. She wasn't surprised. She was pleased. Because she thought she'd hidden everything. She thought half meant half of what I knew about, not half of what actually existed. My attorney will be in touch, I said. You already have an attorney? I do. Something flickered across her face then. Uncertainty. When did you? How long have you been planning this? Does it matter? She stared at me. The smile was gone now. I guess not. I left that night. Moved into a furnished apartment I'd already rented. Patricia filed the papers the next morning, along with a motion for discovery that listed every account, every property, every asset I'd found. By noon, Claire had been served. By 6 a.m. the next morning, Madison was calling me in a panic. After she hung up, I sat there trying to figure out what Madison had meant. She thought you knew? Knew what? My phone rang again. Patricia, your wife's attorney just called my office, she said. They want to talk. They're offering mediation. Already. They saw the discovery motion. They know we have documentation of the Salem property and the hidden retirement account. They want to settle before this goes to court. What are they offering? I'll forward you the email, but basically, she keeps the Salem property and the retirement account she set up. You keep your separate retirement account and your car, and you split the house equity 50/50ths. She still thinks she's going to come out ahead. She does. Because she doesn't know we have the text messages, or the emails about the loan from her mother, or the documentation showing she used marital funds for a separate investment property without your knowledge or consent. What do? We reject the offer. We tell them we're going to court, and then we watch them panic. Patricia sent the rejection that afternoon. Polite, professional, and firm. We would be pursuing full discovery and equitable distribution of all assets, disclosed and undisclosed. 2 hours later, my phone exploded. Claire, we need to talk. Please. Claire, this is getting out of hand. Can we just be reasonable? Claire, I don't understand why you're being so aggressive about this. Tyler, her brother, what the fuck is your problem? You're trying to steal my sister's investment property. Derek, hey man, I don't know what's going on with you two, but Claire's a wreck right now. Maybe ease up. I blocked Derek immediately. I responded to Claire with, talk to your attorney. I didn't respond to Tyler at all. That night, Madison called again. Can we meet? She asked. Please? I need to understand what's happening. Why? Because Claire's told me her version, and it doesn't make any sense, and I think she's lying to me, and I need to know the truth. We met at a coffee shop near my office the next day. Madison looked exhausted. She says you're trying to take everything, Madison said. She says you've become vindictive and cruel, and you're trying to ruin her life. What do you think? I asked. I think she's full of shit. I think she did something really bad, and she got caught, and now she's playing victim. Madison leaned forward. When I called you that morning, it was because she'd been crying all night saying he knows. I thought she meant you'd found out she was cheating. But it's not that, is it? She's been hiding assets, planning the divorce for months, positioning things so she'd get more than half when she filed. Madison closed her eyes. Fuck, you knew? Not about the assets, but I knew about Derek. She told me 6 months ago she'd met someone. She said you two had grown apart, that she was miserable, that she was going to leave you, but she needed to be smart about it first. Madison looked at me. I told her to just talk to you, go to counseling, get divorced if it wasn't working. But she said it was complicated, that the finances were messy, that she needed time. She needed time to steal from me. I didn't know that's what she meant. I swear to God, I didn't know. I believed her. Madison had always been straight with me. She was the one who'd warned me when Claire had gotten drunk at her bachelorette party and some guy had been hitting on her. She was honest to a fault. What's going to happen? Madison asked. She's going to lose. I have documentation of everything. The hidden retirement account, the investment property she bought with marital funds without telling me, the loan from your mom that she claimed was for an emergency, but was actually for property investment, the text messages where she explicitly talks about hiding assets until after the divorce. Oh my God. In Oregon, financial infidelity is taken very seriously in divorce proceedings. The judge can award me more than half specifically because she tried to hide assets. At minimum, I get half of everything including the stuff she tried to hide. At maximum, I get more than half as a penalty. Madison put her head in her hands. She's such an idiot. She thought she was being clever. She's always thought she was the smartest person in the room. Even when we were kids, she'd scheme and plan and manipulate, and sometimes it worked, and it just reinforced the behavior. Madison looked up at me. I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I'm really fucking sorry. It's not your fault. I should have said something. When she told me about Derek, I should have told you. Would it have changed anything? Madison thought about it. Probably not. She'd already made up her mind. The divorce took 4 months. Claire tried everything. She claimed the Salem property was entirely Tyler's investment, and she'd just helped with paperwork. Except I had emails where she discussed our rental income and our investment strategy. She claimed the retirement account was separate property because she'd started it before we got married. Except I had the account opening date, 8 months after our wedding. She claimed the loan from her mother was for medical expenses. Except I had the email where she told Tyler Mom's loan came through. We can close on the Salem property next week. Her attorney tried to paint me as a controlling husband who'd forced her to hide money for her own financial safety. Except I had our joint account statements showing I'd never restricted her access, never questioned her spending, never monitored her accounts. I trusted her completely. The judge wasn't impressed. In the final hearing, sitting in that wood-paneled courtroom, the judge actually removed her glasses and looked directly at Claire. Mrs. Henderson, I've reviewed all the evidence presented. The documentation is extensive and clear. You systematically hid assets from your spouse while planning to file for divorce. You used marital funds for separate investments without disclosure. You created financial structures specifically designed to shield assets from community property division. This isn't a matter of poor communication or financial disagreement. This is willful deception. Claire's face was white. In light of this behavior, I'm awarding the petitioner 60% of all marital assets, including the Salem rental property and the undisclosed retirement account. The remaining 40% will go to the respondent. Additionally, the respondent will be responsible for reimbursing the petitioner for half of the loan obtained from her mother, as those funds were used for property investment that benefited the respondent. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. We walked out of the courthouse separately. Claire's attorney had his hand on her shoulder, talking quickly. She looked destroyed. Madison was waiting outside. Not for Claire, for me. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah, I think so. For what it's worth, you were more than fair. You could have pushed for more. I just wanted what was mine. And maybe a little extra for the trouble." Madison smiled sadly. "She's going to hate you forever, you know. I can live with that." The house sold 3 months later. After all the legal fees, the realtor commission, and paying off the mortgage, I walked away with about $140,000 from the equity, plus $54,000 from my share of the Salem property, which Tyler was furious about. He had to refinance to buy out my portion. Plus the contents of the hidden retirement account, split 60/40ths, plus half of the reimbursement for her mother's loan. All told, I came out of the divorce with about $240,000 in liquid assets. Claire came out with about $160,000. If she'd just been honest from the start, we each would have walked away with roughly $200,000. She tried to be clever and ended up costing herself $40,000. But the money wasn't the point. The point was that smile. That fucking smile when I said taking half. She'd thought she'd won. She'd thought she'd outsmarted me. She'd thought she'd planned everything so perfectly that by the time I figured it out, it would be too late. But I'd known for 3 weeks before I said a word. I'd documented everything. I'd prepared. I'd been patient. And when she smiled, thinking she'd gotten away with it, I'd already won. I ran into Derek about 6 months after the divorce was finalized. He was at a bar downtown with some friends. I was there with coworkers. He saw me, hesitated, then walked over. "Hey," he said. "Look, I just want to say, I didn't know she was still married when we met. She told me you two were separated." "When did you meet her?" 7 months before you got divorced. She said you'd been living separately for 3 months already, that it was just a matter of paperwork. We were living together until I asked for the divorce. Sleeping in the same bed." Derek's face fell. "Fuck. Yeah. I'm not with her anymore. Just so you know. After everything came out, after I realized how much she'd lied, I couldn't trust her." "Smart." He nodded slowly. "She told me you were the bad guy, that you'd been emotionally abusive, that you'd controlled all the money, that she was afraid of you. And you believed her. At first. Yeah. But then the court stuff happened, and I saw the actual evidence, and..." He shook his head. "She's really good at playing the victim. She is. For what it's worth, man, I'm sorry. I should have asked more questions." I shrugged. "Not your fault. She lied to both of us." He bought my drink that night. We didn't become friends or anything, but there was something almost funny about it. 2 guys who'd been played by the same woman, having a beer and acknowledging we'd both been idiots. I saw Claire one more time after the divorce, about a year later. I was at a grocery store, loading my cart, when I turned a corner and almost ran into her. She was with someone, a different guy, not Derek. He had his arm around her waist. We made eye contact. For a second, neither of us said anything. Then she said, quietly, "I hope you're happy." "I am," I said. "I hope you are too." She looked at me for a long moment. The guy with her seemed confused, looking between us. "I really did love you," she said. "At the beginning. I know. I don't know when it changed. When I started thinking about the money more than the marriage. It doesn't matter now." "No, I guess it doesn't." She touched the guy's arm. "Come on, let's go." They walked away. I stood there in the frozen foods aisle, holding a bag of pizza rolls, watching my ex-wife disappear around the corner with someone new. And I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. No satisfaction. Nothing. Just relief that it was over. I bought a condo 6 months ago. 2-bedroom, downtown Portland, view of the river. Used some of the divorce settlement for the down payment. It's mine. Just mine. No one else's name on the deed. I'm dating someone new. Her name's Natalie. She's a graphic designer. We've been together 4 months. It's casual, easy, honest. She knows about Claire, about the divorce, about all of it. I told her everything on our 3rd date because I didn't want any secrets. She said, "That must have hurt." I said it did. But I'm past it now. "Are you really?" I thought about it. "Yeah, I think I am." And I was. Because here's what I learned. You can't control other people. You can't make someone be honest if they've decided to deceive you. You can't make someone love you if they've decided they don't. But you can control yourself. You can document. You can prepare. You can be smart. You can protect yourself. And when they smile, thinking they've won, you can know that you've already checkmated them 3 moves ago. That smile still haunts me sometimes, in a weird way. Not because it hurt, though it did, but because it was so perfectly her. So confident. So certain she'd outsmarted me. When Madison had called that morning, panicking, asking what I'd told Claire, she'd been afraid I'd discovered everything and threatened Claire with exposure. But I hadn't threatened anything. I'd just stated a simple fact. In a divorce, I'd take half. And Claire had smiled because she thought half meant half of what I knew about. She'd built this elaborate structure of hidden assets and secret accounts and shell companies, and she'd thought it was foolproof. She'd thought she was so clever. But she'd forgotten the most basic rule. If you're going to lie to someone, you better make damn sure they don't find out. And I'd found out. 3 weeks before she knew I knew. 3 weeks to prepare, to document, to build an airtight case. By the time she realized what was happening, it was too late. The irony is, if she'd just asked for a divorce honestly, we probably could have worked it out amicably, split everything fairly, stayed civil, maybe even stayed friends eventually. But she'd wanted more than fair. She'd wanted to win. And in trying to win, she'd lost. That's the thing about greed. It makes you stupid. It makes you take risks you shouldn't take. It makes you think you're smarter than you are. Claire thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. Turns out we were both playing chess. She just didn't know I'd seen her playbook.